Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Ridge makes amends with Brooke and Hope receives an unexpected kiss. Today on The Bold and the Beautiful, Liam makes a tribute to Hope, Taylor makes a promise to Steffi, and Brooke chastises Ridge. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, Soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. At the Cliff House, Steffi can't believe Taylor thought she was dying. Taylor says it was terrible, but she'll be fine. In large part, thanks to your father. She explains that he coaxed her to get a second opinion from Grace Buckingham, who figured out that the initial diagnosis was wrong. My heart's not failing, it's just broken. In Brooke's bedroom, Ridge tells her he's sorry she saw what she saw. Brooke doesn't understand what she saw, it was so intimate. Taylor tried to explain, but she doesn't really trust her. Why was she in her lap straddling you? Ridge recaps that Taylor thought she was dying, and they went to see Grace Buckingham, who put her on medication. Brooke asks why the need for a healer then. Ridge says there's an emotional side to it. Trauma Taylor hadn't dealt with from her past. It was amazing, and he wanted to tell her about it. Brooke says he didn't though. He did this whole thing with his ex-wife without her knowledge. In the design office, Hope looks at some gowns and makes notes. Liam comes in. He knows it's late, and he can see she's still working, but he has something to show her. He pulls out his laptop and tells her the media splash for Hope for the future turned out to be a personal project for him. Hope settles in and says she's ready to be impressed. Liam says the inspiration is how much she impresses him every day. He starts the video, which is a tribute to Hope being more than just a designer, but a visionary who will inspire her children. Hope thought he was going to delegate this. Liam wanted to do the tribute because he wants everyone to know who she is and everything she's accomplished. I can't stop thinking about you. He keeps thinking about the future. At the Cliff House, Steffi marvels, broken heart syndrome. Unbelievable. Taylor couldn't accept it at first either. She assures her daughter that she expects to be much improved at her next checkup, especially after tonight. Tonight was about holistic healing. She smiles, sometimes the answers lie within ourselves. Steffi asks about the scene with Chandra and her dad. Taylor says he was really there for her. Steffi says he'll always cares about her. She asks why and how Brooke was involved. Taylor says she showed up unannounced and saw the connection they shared. She's sure Ridge is getting a tongue lashing right now. Steffi hates to see her mom worrying about Brooke. Taylor's not. She's focused on gratitude and her family. She doesn't believe she and Ridge are getting back together, but tonight they worked through some things. They cry and hug over missing Phoebe. Taylor knows she hasn't been there enough for her. That's over. I'm here, and I'm going to stay here, with you, your beautiful children, and your father. In Brooke's bedroom, she asks Ridge if he can imagine how it felt for her to see him and Taylor wrapped around each other. The instructions were ridiculous. Ridge argues the pose did something. Taylor had a breakthrough. Brooke's glad to hear that he thinks she'll be ok. She asks about the life-changing pose. Ridge gives her the name of it and asks, "What's going on in that beautiful head of yours?" Brooke grins. She asks if he even knows what a chakra is. He didn't, but he does now. Brooke asks him to explain the pose to her. They go over Taylor sitting in his lap, keeping eye contact, and breathing as one. Brooke says he's never done that with her. Ridge is sorry he hurt her. Brooke says they can fix that, as long as he promises never to do that pose with anyone but her. In the design office, Hope tells Liam she appreciates how he put the presentation together, and that he looks back fondly on what they had, but they talked about this, he knows. Searching for the right words, Liam says they are a different kind of great now. It's taken some adjustment, but hear me out. He pulls her into an unexpected kiss. Hope pulls away and puts her hands over her mouth. Liam says he's been wanting to do that for a really long time. Ridge Forrester stood in front of the large, sun-drenched window at Forrester Creations, his gaze fixed on the horizon beyond the city's skyline. The hum of Los Angeles was a constant, but inside his head there was only silence, an oppressive quiet filled with the weight of unresolved conflicts, shattered trust, and too many harsh words exchanged between him and Brooke. He had been wrong before, many times, and their tumultuous love story had seen every possible twist, but this felt different. The distance between them was palpable, a canyon of misunderstanding, hurt, and pride. He closed his eyes, drawing in a deep breath, summoning the courage to face what he knew he had to do. Ridge had never been good at apologies, at admitting when he'd gone too far, but this time the stakes were too high. He couldn't let his pride destroy the one relationship that had defined his life for decades. It was time to make amends with Brooke. The office door creaked open softly and Ridge turned, half expecting to see his assistant. But instead, it was Brooke. She stood in the doorway, her green eyes shadowed with the same hurt and uncertainty that he had been wrestling with. She looked as stunning as ever, even in her casual attire, a soft blouse and jeans. Yet there was a weariness to her, a fragility that tore at Ridge's heart. "Brooke," he said, his voice soft but firm. She didn't speak right away, just stared at him as if unsure whether she should be there. Ridge could see the hesitation in her, the internal battle she fought between walking out and staying to hear whatever he had to say. For once, Ridge hoped his words would be enough. "I know I haven't always been fair," Ridge began, stepping closer to her. "And I haven't been good at understanding how my actions affect you, how much they hurt you. I've pushed you away too many times, and I've let things get in the way of what we've built over the years. But I don't want to lose you, Brooke. Not again." Brooke's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and for a moment, Ridge feared that she would turn and leave. But then she let out a soft sigh and took a hesitant step toward him. "It hasn't been easy, Ridge," she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. "Loving you has always been complicated, but I can't pretend that I don't still feel something. I've been hurt, but that doesn't mean I don't care." Ridge's heart swelled with a flicker of hope. He had feared that too much damage had been done, that this time, their love had finally reached a breaking point from which they couldn't return. But her words, though laced with pain, held the promise of something more. "I want to make this right," Ridge said, stepping even closer, so close now that he could smell her familiar perfume, the scent that always brought him back to memories of better days. "We've been through so much together. We can get through this too. But I need you to know how sorry I am for everything." Brooke stared at him for a long moment before speaking again. "I don't want empty promises, Ridge. I need to know that this time, it's different. That we won't end up back in the same place, hurting each other all over again." "It is different," Ridge assured her. "I'm not going to let my pride or anyone else come between us anymore. I want us to be on the same team again, you, me, and our family." A tear slid down Brooke's cheek, and she quickly wiped it away, but Ridge saw the small smile that began to form on her lips. It wasn't much, but it was enough. He reached out, gently taking her hand in his, and she didn't pull away. Instead, she let him hold it, and for the first time in what felt like ages, Ridge felt a sense of peace wash over him. "I want that too," Brooke said softly, her fingers squeezing his hand ever so slightly. "But it's going to take time." Ridge nodded. "I'm willing to do whatever it takes." Just as they stood there, a soft knock interrupted their moment. Hope appeared in the doorway, her expression filled with curiosity and an underlying tension that Ridge recognized immediately. "Am I interrupting something?" Hope asked, her voice tentative. Brooke pulled away from Ridge gently, but offered Hope a reassuring smile. "No, you're not. We were just talking." Hope nodded, though she seemed unconvinced. Ridge could see the unease in her eyes. Something else was bothering her, something much deeper than what was happening between him and Brooke. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" Brooke asked, sensing her daughter's discomfort. Hope hesitated, biting her lip before finally stepping into the office fully. "Yeah, I'm fine. It's just, something happened today that I wasn't expecting." Ridge's brow furrowed. "What happened?" Hope sighed, her cheeks flushing slightly as if embarrassed to admit whatever was on her mind. "Thomas kissed me." The air in the room seemed to still. Ridge felt a sudden rush of protective instinct flare within him, and Brooke's expression immediately shifted from concern to shock. "He what?" Brooke said, her voice incredulous. "Hope, are you serious?" Hope nodded slowly, her fingers fidgeting nervously as she spoke. "It was out of the blue. One minute we were talking about work, and the next, he just leaned in and kissed me." Ridge's mind raced. He had watched Thomas struggle, trying to be a better man, to overcome the darkness that had plagued him for so long. But this was something Ridge hadn't expected. Was Thomas still the same man who had once obsessed over Hope, or was this something different? "How did you react?" Ridge asked carefully, not wanting to push too hard, but needing to understand what was going on. Hope swallowed hard, her eyes darting between her mother and Ridge. I didn't know how to react at first. It caught me off guard. But I pulled away, and I told him we couldn't do this. Not now, not after everything." Brooke let out a breath, clearly relieved by Hope's words, but Ridge still felt a knot of uncertainty in his chest. Thomas had been making strides, but this move felt like a step backward. "I'm going to have a talk with him," Ridge said firmly. "He needs to understand that this can't happen." Hope nodded. "I know, and I'll talk to him too. I don't want to lead him on or give him the wrong idea, but I also don't want to hurt him. He's been through so much." Brooke stepped forward, wrapping her arms around her daughter in a comforting hug. "We'll figure this out, Hope. Together." As Ridge watched them, he realized that for all their mistakes and missteps, family was the one thing that bound them together, no matter how complicated their relationships became. And in that moment, he knew that making amends wasn't just about his love for Brooke, it was about all of them healing as a family.